Alright, so we're back for part 2 of Understanding Percents Day 2. Today we're going to continue with understanding how to move from a percent to a decimal and a fraction. So either you're going to move from a percent to a fraction or a percent to a decimal. But first, I want to touch on and talk about a very specific case of a fraction. Okay? So now, if we wanted to change 1/3 to a percent, if we wanted to change 1/3 to a percent, okay, we're going to look at it like this. First, we have to go from this fraction to a decimal and then to a percent. All right. So now here, I'm going to begin to divide. That's 1 as my numerator and 3 as my denominator. Remember, top number is your dividend, your bottom number or your your denominator is your divisor. Okay? So I know I can't divide 3 into 1, so I'm going to put 0 here, add a placeholder 0, and bring my decimal up. Now, of course, I can divide 3 into 10. If I multiply 3 times 3, that's going to give me 9. Subtract, I have 1. Of course, I can't divide 3 into 1, so I have to add a placeholder 0 and bring it down. 3 can be divided into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 gives us 9. We subtract, and 1. Uh-oh, we have 1 again. So, we're going to do the same thing, and remember, we can't end with a remainder. So we're going to add another 0, extend our division. Bring down the 0. 3 can be divided into 10, or 3 can be divided into 10 3 times. 10 minus 9, it's 1. So what do you notice here? Every time we divide, it's going to continue. That's why we call this a repeating decimal. Okay? So now, let's look at the following. And I'm going to do it one more time. Three. All right. 1. Okay? So now we can stop here. All right. So now, if I wanted to take this decimal and change it into a percent. Of course, we know that this is a repeating decimal, so we symbolize that with a line over the last shown digit. That means it's going to continue repeating. Okay? So we know that 1/3 is equivalent to 0 and 333 thousandths. I'm going to stop it at the thousandths place. Okay? So now, if I wanted to change this to a percent, I am going to move the decimal place 2 places to the right. 1, 2. And that's going to give us 33 and 3/10%. But we know, so it can either be written as a decimal with a percent, or we can write it as a fraction. So since we know the 3, that is a repeating decimal, equals 1/3, we can also write this as 33 and 1/3%. Okay? There was a problem in Get More Math, and I plan on going over that later in another video, but I just wanted to show you guys how that answer should have been written. Okay? And I'm going to do that question specifically. All right. Similarly, we have 2/3. 2/3 is also a repeating decimal. Okay? And I'm going to very quickly show you. I'm not going to take that long. I'm just going to go through it. So we have 2 as the dividend, 3 is the divisor. I can't divide, so that's 0, decimal point. Add a placeholder 0, raise that up. Okay? So I'm going to divide. And when I divide, that's going to be 3 times 6. That's going to give me 18. When I divide, that'll be 2. Placeholder 0. Bring down the 0. Divide again by 6. Minus 18. That's going to be 2 again. So we know that this is a repeating decimal as well. So now, because it's just going to keep going and going and going and going and going and going and going, we know if we move the decimal point 2 places, that would equal 66 6/10%. But also, we should know that this 0 66 hundredths or 6/10 with the line representing repeating decimal is going to continue. So we can also write this with a fraction, 66 2/3%. All right. So now, this is how we relate fractions to decimals to percent. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do an example where there is more than 100. Okay. Excuse me. So we have 96 out of, sorry, bear with me. Oh wait, that's the problem. Let me move on. All right, so let's say we have the following. We have 5/8. We want to write 5/8 as a percent and a decimal. So of course we divide. 5 is your dividend, 8 is your divisor. Okay? So of course we can't divide 8 into 5, so that's 0. Placeholder 0 and the decimal. Placeholder 0 and the decimal. Okay? So now, if we divide, that's going to be 6. 8 times 6 is 48. We subtract, that'll be 2. But we can't end with a remainder when we're trying to find a decimal. Okay? So we have to continue. Add a placeholder 0, drop it down. 8 can be divided into 20 2 times. That'll be 20 minus 16. When we subtract, that'll give us 4. Can't stop with the remainder, so we have to continue. Bring down the 0. We can divide 5 times. And that'll be 0. So now we have our equivalent decimal. So if we take that equivalent decimal, 0 and 625 thousandths, Move the decimal place 2 places to the right and write our percent symbol. That'll be 62 and 5/10%. Or, since we know that 5/10 is equivalent to 1/2, we can write it as 62 and 1/2%. I gotta erase that. 62 and 1/2%. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, make sure that you are utilizing Schoology. Make sure you do all your activities. Make sure you get on with Get More Math and do the daily goal. Have a great day. See you next video.